Nina.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Nina Totenberg.
Well, Coky's the best, too. And I am afraid that I have notes because there's almost nothing anybody can say these days without getting herself into a lot of trouble. Like, there are like phrases like close but no cigar. And I confess there were days in the last month or so when, as I looked forward to this evening, I was afraid that I was going to be stuck in the rotunda of the Russell Senate office building while you all dined here, and I would be saying, I wish I could be there. I want to thank the Press Foundation for honoring me with this award. It really is a very special occasion for me, and I am more than flattered, and especially flattered to be on the same program with Herb Bloch, who I have admired and loved for these many years and expect to for at least the next 30 or 40. I've booked him as a date to this dinner 20 years from now. Well, I'm not sure that I can be as witty as everybody might like me to be, but it has been a hell of a year for journalism. We've had sex, lies, and audio, and for the first time in 130 years, impeachment. We've had the 24-hour news cycle writ large, and the effect of the internet on daily journalism. We've had stories too crazy to ever be believed, the blue dress, and that turned out to be true. And we've had stories too good to be true that weren't true. We've had high drama, the case of the House of Representatives and Kenneth Starr versus President Clinton. And we've had low comedy, the case of Christopher Hitchens versus Sidney Blumenthal. In all that's happened, I am and will be forever grateful to my colleagues and bosses at NPR and at Nightline as well for providing the journalistic standards and the toughness to protect me from myself on those occasions when good judgment eluded me, and my editors will know what those were. I need not share them with you. For the last year, I confess, felt remarkably unsure of my footing, sort of as if the ground were giving way at almost every step. And I suspect in this room that I'm not alone. By the time we got to the impeachment process, I felt as if I'd crossed a field of landmines to, God help me, safer ground. It's the greatest of ironies that with everyone in Washington trumpeting the success of the constitutional process, that the public did not get to see it. Yes, the doors were open to the Judiciary Committee hearings, to the arguments by the prosecutors and defense lawyers on the Senate floor, even to the President's grand jury testimony. But when it came time for that final and most critical debate among the senators on whether or not to remove the President of the United States, the lights went off, the microphones went deaf, and the doors were closed. They bonded, they tell us. Well, goody for them. I'll admit I understood there were some real reasons for closing the doors when they were trying to work out procedures. But when the day of reckoning came for the speeches and debate about the verdict, they closed the doors to bond? Hello? What about the people who elected them? You know, we're told that this was a jury, and like all juries, they should deliberate in secret. After all, they deliberated in secret in the Andrew Johnson trial in 1868. May I mention a small detail? In 1868, senators were not elected. They were chosen by state legislatures. It wasn't until 1913 that the Constitution was amended to provide for the popular election of senators. Oh, yes, and if the constitutional process worked, might I mention that other little part of the Constitution, the First Amendment? In 1999, everyone was so exhausted by the last year of this scandal that hardly anyone noticed that on a vote that many senators called the most important of their lives, the debate was in secret. And in addition, that the Capitol was, for weeks, cordoned off on the Senate side to protect members who might not choose to go to the designated microphones at certain times. These are precedents that we as a profession should not allow to pass unnoted and unprotested, and so you'll forgive me if I used my 2 minutes of fame to protest. And before I close, I do want to say something more personal to my many friends here tonight and to my wonderful colleagues at NPR and at ABC who have been so much more to me than colleagues in the last 5 years. Washington has a reputation as a tough and heartless town, but from my vantage point, it's really a bad rap. Everyone who knows me knows what a wonderful man I was lucky enough to marry 20 years ago, and everyone knows what a valiant and uncomplaining struggle he waged in those last years of his life. He was so gallant and so determined that none of us could quite believe it when, very suddenly, at the end of this past summer, he was gone. I've gotten a lot of credit for being a good wife, but the truth is that with a husband like Floyd and with friends like those in this room, it's been very, very easy. If I started naming names, they'd have to get the hook for me. So let's just let me say thank you to everyone. It's a cliche, but this award really is as much yours as it is mine. And that means you too, Doc, wherever you are tonight. Thank you.